I'm Jake with World of Pool and Billiards, and today I'll be showing you how to both prevent and recreate this. I've lost so many games watching the 9 just roll into the corner pocket right off the break. If you've played 9-ball with anything other than a magic rack, you've probably seen it happen and you can identify it as soon as you see it. The 9-ball is heading straight for the corner pocket, the game is already over, and there's nothing you can do about it. Or is there? I decided I'd had enough and that I was going to find out exactly, definitively, what makes this happen. I went into this with very limited knowledge, but I, as well as mostly anybody else that has played 9-ball for a decent amount of time, could tell you it's preventable by ensuring that all of the balls are frozen. But we also know that that's not really possible unless you're playing on top-notch equipment or using a magic rack. The first thing that came to my mind was a trick shot that I know, and it's set up like this. The 9-ball is on the spot, and frozen to the 9-ball are 2 balls, one on the left and one on the right. 2 balls are then frozen onto each of those balls. The balls in front of the 9 are lined up to the opposite corner pockets, and the balls behind the 9 are lined up towards the corner pockets on the same side of the table. This forms a sort of hexagon shape. The trick shot is set up so that the 9 can go in any of the 4 pockets which it is closest to. You ask someone to choose one of the 4 pockets, and then you place the cue ball here to send the 9-ball to this corner, there to send the 9-ball to that corner, here to send the 9-ball to this side pocket, and there to send the 9-ball to that side pocket. And you always aim straight towards the ball which is closest to you. Here I decide to shoot the 9-ball in the side pocket. The way that the shot works is that the ball that is in the way of the 9 going to the desired pocket is instantly moved out of the way. The ball you contact then runs into the 9-ball, pushing it, but it is redirected by the ball that is caddy corner to the ball that you struck, which redirects the 9-ball towards the desired pocket. So what does this have to do with making the 9-ball in the break? Well, I figured that if you were to add a ball in front and behind this, and then move some of the balls back in place, with one of the balls still not touching the 9, it might redirect the 9-ball towards the corner pocket after you break. So I start off breaking from the right side of the table with the ball on the opposite side unfrozen from everything. Long story short, it didn't work. Since my initial hypothesis was proven wrong, I decided to just rack the balls like I normally would and take a picture of the rock before I broke. If the 9-ball did go in off the break, I could identify what gaps were where, and it wasn't but 5 tries later and the 9-ball heads straight towards the corner pocket. I caught it all on camera, and now I should have the answer, right? Well, not quite. When I look back at the footage, there were gaps all over the rack, making it impossible to decipher which one or ones are responsible for causing the 9-ball to do this. The only way to truly figure it out now is for me to continue doing the same thing until I have a decent sample size so that I can identify which gaps are occurring consistently whenever the 9-ball is made. After about 2 hours straight of breaking 9-ball racks and reviewing footage, I end up nowhere closer to getting an exact answer. I have close to 100 pictures of different racks on my phone, and now I can't even remember which ones the 9-ball went in on. So I do what any sane person would have done to begin with. I just Google it. I came across a Reddit post from 1 year ago by Creed Dorafil.
More like Borophyll, right?
With a pretty good explanation of the phenomenon. The graphics show 1 ball in the second to last row with a gap between the ball next to it and the 9-ball. As soon as you break, the 9-ball pushes back against the 5, but the 3 has already moved, and therefore the 9 has no option but to travel towards the corner pocket. It seems reasonable, it makes sense, and so I decided to try and shoot it just like the graphic shows, except I don't make the 9-ball. But it is heading in generally the right direction now. I try setting it up a couple more times, but it just isn't working. The 9-ball is moving towards the corner, but it's not going straight towards the corner. So I start to think about where the energy is actually going when you break from the opposite side of where you're trying to make the cue ball like the original graphic shows. If I were to break from the opposite side, it's true that a majority of the energy of the rack will be going towards the correct side of the table, but the energy that the 9-ball is receiving is actually going in the opposite direction of where you want to send it. In fact, most of it, if not all of the energy that the 2-ball imparts onto the 9 is going to be absorbed by the 5-ball. So instead of putting most of the energy into the 2, which pushes the 9-ball towards the 5, why wouldn't you just put most of the energy into the 8-ball, which will push the 9-ball in the direction that it's supposed to go in? So I switched sides to give it a shot, and eureka. The 9-ball is now heading straight towards the corner pocket every time. The only problem is that the ball in the far back is kicking off the bottom rail and preventing the 9-ball from going in. However, if you were to add some of the inconsistencies from a standard rack, you could certainly see how the 8-ball might travel in a different direction, or at a different speed, allowing the 9-ball to continue its journey to the corner pocket. So the answer to prevent the 9-ball from being sent straight to the corner after the break is to ensure that the 2 balls and the second to last row are frozen to the 9. Any backwards momentum imparted onto the 9-ball will be absorbed by those 2 balls and prevent the 9 from ever reaching the corner. So if you have to choose between a gap in the front of the rack or a gap in the back of the rack, it's better to go with a gap in the front. But that just isn't a satisfying answer. See, I started filming this with the goal of being able to make the 9-ball on the break consistently. And while I accomplished my primary goal of preventing the 9-ball from going straight towards the corner, I was never going to be able to make the 9-ball go consistently because the ball on the far back kept running into the 9-ball, preventing it from reaching the corner pocket. So then I began to try to figure out, how can I send the 9-ball towards the pocket, but prevent the 8-ball from running into it on its way there? The first thing I try to do is change where I'm breaking from. I stay on the same side of the table, but the 8-ball either continues to run into the 9-ball, or the 9-ball's direction is changed so much that it is no longer heading towards the corner pocket. Rather, I decide to see if I can create a gap on the left side of the rack, which should change the angle and speed that the 8-ball comes away from the rack at. I can't gap the 6 because the 9-ball will no longer go towards the corner pocket, and I can't gap the 1 or 8-ball because I'm using a magic rack, and the 8-ball is supposed to be holding the 7-ball in place. That only leaves 2 more options, the 2-ball and 4-ball. But the 2-ball is what is putting force onto the 9-ball and driving it towards the corner pocket, so that really only leaves one option, the 4-ball. With a little bit of effort, I managed to get a small gap between the 4 and 9-ball while maintaining a gap between the 7, 6, and 9-ball. Maybe it'll be enough to stop the 8 from running into the 9. I break and the 9-ball goes straight into the pocket. I break again, but I get unlucky and the 9-ball gets kicked because the 5-ball was going crazy, bouncing off everything, but it was going straight towards the pocket. Another break and the 9-ball gets clipped by the 4-ball. On my next break, the 9-ball goes straight into the pocket, and another break, another 9-ball. I wasn't very hopeful in finding a perfect answer when I got the idea of making this video, but I'm pretty happy with the results. I now know that to prevent the 9-ball from going straight into the corner pocket, the only thing I have to do is make sure the second to last row of balls is frozen to the 9-ball. And I'm not really even too worried about people using this information to cheat, as every time I've ever played Rack Your Own, it's pretty standard to not count the 9-ball in the bottom 2 corner pockets. See, most players know that a gapped, imperfect rack is to blame for the 9-ball heading straight to the corner, but few seem to know the exact reason that it happens and exactly what gaps to specifically check for to prevent it. So take this advice and stop giving free games to your opponent. Alright guys, this is the end of the video. I want to thank you for watching and I hope you enjoyed it. If you're not subscribed and want to watch more videos like this, hit that button and I'll see you in the next video.
Need to cut it. Missing my banks on the regular. Thought that shot was a cutangular. Telling my team that I'm sorry. But shoot him, there's no need to worry. Just got the 6 in the side. Calculate that shot with pie. Off with the 5 in the side. Go ahead and shock me, you die. All of my teammates say nah. All of my teammates say bro.